Hey, welcome back everybody. It's been a minute since I have recorded a video for my channel, Mimi's Garden. That's because I had a pretty big life event this summer, and that is I got married. Matthew and I got married on July 9th of this year. It was amazing. It was perfect. We had a week-long honeymoon in Glacier National Park in Montana. And then just a couple days after that, we had our annual week-long family trip in northern Wisconsin. Now that we've kind of settled back in, we're in the middle of August now. It's a beautiful day, and I've had these perennials sitting around for quite some time, and I'm ready to get them into the ground. So the focus of today's project is to talk about the benefits of quote-unquote rescuing clearance perennials from your local garden center. Even though they may not look that great, there's still so much potential, and if you have the patience to wait until next year when they're putting on a full show, you should definitely consider that option. It's also a great option if you are gardening and you are trying to expand your garden while on a budget. For example, I picked up these 5 perennials from my local garden center at 40% off. So that's a significant discount. And you may even check in with your local garden center if they have any special like customer deals. For example, mine on Tuesdays, I think they give an additional 10% off. Anyways, so why don't I go ahead and show you some of the materials we're working with, and then I'll show you where in my garden these are going to go in to start this new perennial bed. All right, so here is the spread. I thought I would just go through each plant one at a time and talk a little bit about them before we head out to the space where I'm going to be planting them. These are all perennials. But this first one is called Meadow Sage, and the variety is called East Friesland, and it's a type of salvia. Look at those beautiful pinkish purplish blooms. And the height is 16 to 18 inches tall, 18 to 24 inches wide, hardy down to a zone 3, which is perfect because we are a zone 5B, almost 6A. These blooms have all been cut back. They are spent. You can see just a little bit remains there. So that's going to go in. Next, I'll go this way. We have a variety of lavender called Munstead, also full sun. It attracts butterflies and is deer resistant. And it's a hybrid lavender, also full sun, 12 to 18 inches tall, 12 to 24 inches wide, hardy down to a zone 5. Let me give that a smell. Oh, smells amazing. Okay, next one is, the botanical name is called Buddleia, but it's also commonly known as butterfly bush. And so this variety is called Pink Cascade. Also perennial, full sun, and that just means 6 or more hours of direct sun. The stats here, this is a big one, you guys. So this can get up to 5 feet tall. So that means you're gonna wanna make sure that you don't really plant anything between 5 and 6 feet around it, hardy down to a zone 5. This one is in bloom. It's pretty. Okay, next one is a type of yarrow, and this variety is called Little Moonshine, full sun, 9 to 12 inches tall, 10 to 12 inches wide, hardy down to a zone 4. This one wants to be well watered, versus I noticed a note in some of these other perennials that you want it to dry out between waterings. So even though they require the same light, they may require different amounts of water. So just something to keep in mind. And then the last perennial I'm putting in my flower bed, and this is a new one to me. It's a variety of aster, and the variety is Kickin' Lilac Blue. And here is the color of the blooms. Beautiful. Stats here, 24 to 36 inches tall and wide, down to a zone 5, and average amounts of water. Oops, I forgot this one. Okay, last one. The botanical name of this is called Coreopsis, also known as tick seed. The variety is called Presto. Full sun, 6 to 8 inches tall, 12 inches wide, hardy down to a zone 4, and this also asks for the water, the soil to dry in between waterings. All right, so that's what we're working with today, and as you can see, these are not really in their prime. Like I said, I bought them on clearance. They've been living in a container for a long time, and typically plants don't love to live in their containers. They can get really root bound, and that can affect their growth and bloom production. But that's not to say that they are useless. I'm still putting these in the ground, and I'm still feeling confident that by next season, next summer, they're going to be gorgeous and a beautiful addition to this new garden bed that I'm creating today. If you notice any dead or dying leaves, you can just quickly pull those off. This coreopsis especially is in rough shape. So all I'm gonna do before I put it into the ground is just kind of gently pull out all of that dead foliage. I will want to get my pruners in a second because I also am going to cut back these spent blooms on this yarrow, for example. This is what it looks like when those blooms are spent. So I'll go ahead and cut those off so that the plant can put more energy into a healthy root production so that it's comfy enough to survive the winter. But this is what the blooms look like when they are in their prime. Just really gorgeous flat yellow discs. So I'll clean those up before I put them in, and I'm also going to arrange them based on their size. As I said before, the buddleia or the butterfly bush gets the biggest, so I'll make sure that has the most space, and then all of these other ones are actually on the smaller side, really just between 1 to 2 feet tall and wide. So that also plays a role in how you are setting up your new garden bed. Some other materials I'm working with today. Anytime I put something new into the ground, I give it a healthy dose of Biotone starter fertilizer. That just gives it the nutrients it needs for root production, stem production, flower production. And this is an interesting project today because the flower bed I'm using behind my raised beds over there is just grass. It's weeds and crabgrass, and so we need to eliminate that. An easy way to do that is to lay down cardboard directly on top of the grass. It's going to smother it, and then eventually the cardboard just breaks down over time and you don't have to worry about the grass as much anymore. Now obviously we don't want to leave the cardboard exposed, so my final step today after cardboarding, after planting with fertilizer, is to go ahead and cover up the cardboard with mulch. We recently had another bulk mulch delivery, 5 cubic yards from our local landscape recycling center. We've already used some of it to add some more mulch to the raised bed areas, and we have plenty more to use, so I will definitely be using some for this new garden bed. So let's go ahead and get over there. Okay, so the first step is laying down the cardboard. You may notice I've got a couple perennials here that are next to my first raised bed garden with tomatoes and peppers. So basically I'm looking to expand this garden bed close to the alley, if not right up to the alley, so we don't have to worry about mowing this grass right here. So let me see how far this cardboard lasts. And if Matt needs to bring home some more of these free boxes from work, then that's an easy solution. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down the cardboard, see how far I can get. Oh, one more thing. You may notice 2 cannas popping up there that have been completely neglected. In fact, I put close to 10 cannas in this bed. but because the weeds kind of took over, again, I kind of have been neglecting this area. So I'm gonna do my best to work around the cannas, see if we'll get any flowers from them this season. If not, no big deal. I'll still dig up the bulbs at the end of the season and then try to use them again for next year. So I will kind of work around those two plants while I'm laying down the cardboard. I could not be more pleased with how that turned out. I had the perfect amount of cardboard. I did have to go find some more in the basement, but it worked out. So I was able to take the edge of my raised bed garden with these perennials on the side here, cover it with cardboard, all this nasty crabgrass, and it's an invasive species, and take it out to about one push mower, lawnmower's worth of grass just before you get to the alley. So it sounds like maybe we'll just get to do one quick sweep of the push mower next to the alley in order to maintain that grass. But otherwise, this is going to be developed into a beautiful perennial bed. My next step is going to be to remind myself of the different sizes of the plants so I can place them accordingly. The butterfly bush is going to be the star, so that's going to be probably in the center. And then I'm just going to place the remaining 5 perennials kind of around it, leaving room for other plants as this perennial bed continues to grow. After that, I'm going to use my shears to cut out a hole in the cardboard, dig the hole, fill it with starter fertilizer, and place the plant before covering this whole thing with mulch. Let me show you up close what I've been doing to make these holes. So I've got my aster plant here. Trace the bottom of the can, just a rough estimate. Now the bottom is, the diameter of the bottom is shorter than the diameter of the top of the can. So I am allowing myself some wiggle room when I go ahead and make my cuts. Now, I am using, like I said, my bypass pruners. These are really sharp, so I'm being extra careful. But I do go ahead and start by giving it a stab and a cut. And ultimately what I want to do is cut a plus sign in the middle of the circle, and then I'm going to fold under the flaps. There's probably a better way to do this. This is just what came to mind first because these are the tools I always carry with me when I'm gardening. If you can think of a better way, more efficient way, please do let me know in the comments. So I've got my plus sign, kind of X shape, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold these under to create space for my plant. There we go. And that fits right in there. Actually, may need to adjust that a little bit, but I've got all my holes cut. So let's go ahead and start digging some holes. Good. I was just seeing if it would fit, and it does. Okay, perfect. Now, before I actually put it in its home, I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up some of these roots. It's a little bit root bound. Like I said, plants don't love to be in their containers too long. This is also very dry. So I'm gonna need to give all these plants a thorough water when I'm done. And then I can never forget a splash of starter fertilizer. All right, digging's done, plants are in. I'm gonna go ahead and clear away the nursery containers, empty them out into my compost, and then get some mulch on here. Why not? I had canna lilies all in here last year, but it just got away from me this year. And the crabgrass, of course, took over. So, got cardboard down, I just put 6 perennials in. Now we're just putting mulch on it. All right, man, that was labor intensive, but I will say I still feel confident that this is a really effective way to start a new garden bed. I mean, I probably added 4, 5, maybe 6 feet to this garden bed that goes all the way to there. Got my 2 raised beds, the existing perennials, and I just expanded my perennial bed. After all that hard work, you know, you expect to see something big, beautiful, grand, but I did this project with the understanding that these were discounted perennials. It's mid-August. My hope is just that they have enough time to root in and establish in order to overwinter. Because, let's see, for example, that sad little coreopsis over there has the potential to look like that coreopsis next year, right? So it's all about the long game for me. So just a quick summary, quick tour. We've got our aster there, a canna lily, the salvia, the yarrow, the butterfly bush, the lavender, and the coreopsis, and another canna. So I can't wait to see how these do next season and what else I decide to put in here, because there's going to be room, and I think it's really going to be beautiful. And I love having the space right next to the alley because I'm out here working a lot, and as my neighbors drive through, it's really nice to say hi and talk about gardening and things, and so that just brings me closer to my neighbors too, which is really a gift. All right, let's head back into the shade and wrap this up. Whew. Need to cool down a little bit. I don't know if today was the best choice to do this project. I actually gave blood this morning, and I probably should be taking it easy, but in between each wheelbarrow of mulch, I sat here in the shade for a little bit where the big pile of mulch is, and I drank some water and cooled down. So I definitely took it easy, and it turned out, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I loved that I was able to extend an existing bed and create this new planting space and use things like discounted perennials, right? 40% off, that's a huge deal. You know, the mulch I bought in bulk, so that comes out to be relatively inexpensive. And then the cardboard that I used in place of landscape fabric was free. I do have places in my garden with landscape fabric, even though I do favor the cardboard method because it is able to break down over time. Whereas if I wanted to reconstruct a garden, a landscape garden that had landscape fabric in it, I don't know, I just imagine that might be a little bit more tricky to deal with. Anyways, that's just kind of how I feel about it. I hope this video inspires you to get out and get some more plants into the ground before our first frost of the season, which shouldn't be for about a month or two, which is plenty of time for perennials to still root in and establish in order to survive the winter. You still have time, and that's why I'm doing it now. I know it's been a minute since I put out a video. If you want, you can go back and check out some videos I put out in the winter and the spring. Some of them include like how to start seeds indoors. I built a grow light station. I gave a tour of my gardens in the springtime. I'm definitely due for like a summer, late summer tour, so hopefully we can do that sometime soon. Anyways, thanks so much for your support. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was enjoyable. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!